So welcome everybody to this Wednesday's webinar. I'm Carrie. I'm the Membership Development Representative at the Credit Union. And we have Kim Friedley, who is the Membership Engagement Analyst here at United States Senate Federal Credit Union. And today we are going to be discussing managing and protecting an aging loved one's finances. So it's kind of a long presentation because we've got a lot to cover. So I will give it to Kim in just a second, because I forgot to say, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat box and we'll make sure to answer them at the end. Okay, that was my spiel. So go ahead, Kim, take it away.
Thank you so much, Carrie, and welcome everyone to this week's Wednesday webinar, Managing and Protecting Your Elderly Parents' Finances. It's so good to be here with you. First of all, we value your membership. Thank you. No members, no credit union. And please continue to tell your friends, your family, your neighbors about our credit union. We take a lot of pride in taking care of our members' financial needs, and we will promise to give them the best member service that they've really ever experienced. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. It is a long webinar presentation, but it is a really important one. I know it's a sensitive subject. I'm going to try to make this as light and as engaging as I possibly can. So I am going to turn my camera off so that you can see, pay attention to the PowerPoint, and let's get started. Gosh, as the people that and I'm going to be saying we a lot, not you, because I have parents too. So as the people we love start getting older, we kind of uncover that they may need more help with managing their money. Very sensitive subject. Like I stated earlier, it's important that their finances and estate stay in order. And to do so, we may need to take a leadership role. This may sound like a daunting process, and sometimes it is, but we're going to go over some really clear-cut steps that can help all of us ease some of the stress on both us, you, and our parents. This is our agenda for tonight. I'm not going to go through and tell you each agenda point, because we're just going to dive in. You know, our parents, they raised us, they loved us, they provided some financial security as we grew up. And now some of us find that we are adults with a family of our own, and those roles have changed. They've actually reversed. And some of us are caregivers to our aging parents. Perhaps they need help managing, day-to-day affairs, like their finances, maybe their household maintenance, like making sure their yard is mowed, their house is clean, or maybe even caring for their physical condition, like they may have arthritis. They could have, something that you actually have to help them with their physical condition. Sometimes we might be concerned with what would happen if they forgot to pay their bills. Nothing worse than thinking of a parent if they're still able to be in their home and their lights get cut off or their water is turned off. Their TV, we all know how our parents, our aging parents, love to watch television. You also might be concerned with what would happen if, they suffer from a stroke or received an Alzheimer's disease diagnosis. So this presentation explains a lot of these circumstances that may require us to gain control over our parents or even other elderly loved ones' finances, including warning signs that it takes time to step in. Sometimes, we know that it's time, as well as what legal steps are involved and how to talk to our parents about their needs, really in a sensitive way. So the very first agenda item is knowing when to intervene. One of the most difficult moments in life may be the moment when we realize our parent is declining in mental sharpness. It could be something as simple as maybe you beat your dad in chess, or this is awful, but the first time your mom may forget your birthday. Worries in the back of our minds nag at us, and how do we address them? The time to talk to our parents about their finances may never seem right. It may never seem like the right time. We may feel like we're invading their privacy and their independence, and they may feel the same way. Even their dignity. We may feel, unwilling to face reality, even as their adult child, that life is short and our parents are mortal. But the signs typically are clear. We have to step up. We have to take on a very unfamiliar role and talk to them about those sensitive things. Delaying this talk could prove costly to our parents. It could damage their credit. They could fall prey to elder financial abuse or identity theft, or even lose their home through foreclosure. So knowing when to intervene is really, really important, and don't keep putting it off. So when to intervene, warning signs. Sorry, bear with me just a second, you guys. I kind of lost my place here. Okay, here we are. Sorry. Knowing when to intervene and when to intervene, warning signs. Warning signs, if you live close to your parents and you visit them regularly, you may already have an idea of what their financial situation looks like. And even if you don't, you may need to become nosy and maybe ask some questions about their finances and their actual household management. So watch out for these warning signs. Phone calls. Are creditors leaving voicemail messages? Are charitable organizations calling to solicit additional donations? Do they have new friends that you don't know calling to ask for favors or maybe even a loan? Know who's making phone calls to your parents. It is critical. New friends may enter the picture because your parents have become more generous with their gifts or their money. You're also, another warning sign you're also going to want to check on is the mail. Are credit card companies offering balance transfer promotions? I know I get them every single day, it seems like. Are collection agencies requesting payment? Are your parents opening their mail, or are they just throwing it away? Look at the type of mail your parents receive. Balance transfer offers and collection bills point to typically money mismanagement. Unopened mail may even signal more than simple forgetfulness. Cash and checks. Do your parents know how much cash they have on hand? So I have a little personal story. My father passed away, and I still have my mother, and they have a basement that is full of books. We're all big readers. And we found over $7,000 in cash in books. And think about the times that you just want to declutter and you take things to the Goodwill. Make sure that you always check, because your parents may have gotten to a stage in their life where they have forgotten. So do they know where they leave their cash? Do they have any bounced checks? Are they ignoring unpaid bills? These are all so important warning signs that you really need to take a look at. Take a peek at their checkbook and see whether they're paying their bills, properly balancing their accounts. Being forgetful about cash and where they leave it may indicate mismanagement, like I was saying about my dad. They were born during the Depression, and a lot of them leave cash under their mattress. We all know that. Mine chose to leave it in books. Very dangerous place to leave money. And that was a lot of money. Increased spending is also another warning sign. Have they made out of character purchases? Do you notice new expensive items in their home? Have they upped the ante in their lottery ticket purchases? Another thing to really, really watch for, take a close look at credit card statements for unusual spending. They may be victims of telemarketing scams. Scams are happening every single day to attack I like to say, younger, longer generation. Complaints about money. If cash and spending is a new favorite topic with them at dinner, it may be a sign that money is tight. Look for any changes in life habits too. This might include, fewer car trips to save money on gas, declined invitations for family outings that involve spending money or buying gifts, signs that their home is being neglected or needs repair. Those are all things that could be a warning sign that you need to have a conversation. So talking to your parents about money, it's never an easy subject. It really isn't. It's always a very difficult subject to talk about, sensitive. And we're going to talk about tips for having those conversations. So you're going to want to keep it conversational. Even talking about your own finances. Put them at ease by considering discussing your own financial planning. For example, you could mention a recent visit to a financial planner and the methods you are using to manage your own money. Talking about yourself can help kind of ease into the conversation with your parents about how they're handling their own conversations. And honestly, they may even start the conversation because you opened it up with your own experience. This approach also makes the discussion friendlier. It even can feel like less like an interrogation. The last thing we want is our parents to think that we are intervening and trying to take over. And remember this too, if you have siblings, if one adult child in the family is more financially responsible than other siblings, it can be good for that sibling to take the lead because the parents may feel more comfortable talking money with them. This is a really important one and one that I love. Lead with loving intentions. Let your parents know that you want to discuss their financial life because you care. You care about them. They've worked hard their entire lives, and you want to make sure that they are that their money is safe and secure, and that you're making sure that you're going to help them live out whatever financial dreams they have. You could always begin by saying something like, I know this might be difficult for you to talk about, but I care enough about you to want to make sure you're taken care of as you age. And you want to make sure they're safe. We want to make sure that our aging parents, aging relatives age safely. And ask them, can we find a time to discuss, just what plans you may have made and how I might be able to help you in making sure everything is exactly the way you want it and is taken care of. Remember, you have been we as their adult child has been thinking about this conversation for a while, but this could be the first time your parent has considered this discussion. So they may need a little bit of time to process the conversations that you're having. So make sure you get the timing right. Finding a quiet time to ask your parents to engage in that financial dialogue with you it's really critical. It's essential. Be certain to avoid busy holiday times or events where, you all are likely to be distracted. Somebody may walk in. While you may want to talk today about money, remember your parent may need some time to adjust to the idea of just breaking their money silence to you. You might have to just break the ice a little and just give them little bits and pieces at a time. And depending on your personality, waiting for a quiet time to invite them to engage in a money talk may be challenging. In this situation, I promise you, patience does pay off. You want to be specific about your concerns. When sharing your concerns with a parent, you have got to be specific. If you are worried that your mother has been a victim of a telephone scam, let her know that. Express your concern and ask permission to help. For example, you could say, I'm worried that you may have been taken advantage of financially. And I want to help you and not get we don't want you to get hurt like this again in the future. And ask your parent, what do you think? If you express loving concern and are specific, very specific about the cause of your worry, your parent is more likely to understand your actions and comply with your request. Another little story, I wasn't sure I was going to share this or not, but my mother-in-law, she was a victim of a phone scam. She actually was receiving phone calls from a 202 number, which we all know is the district. And this woman worked 3 jobs her entire life. She was a single mom. Her husband was, my husband's father was in a car accident when he was 3 months old. And so she raised her 2 boys by herself, worked 3 jobs, and didn't stop working. I think she was 75 or 76 and lived in Winchester. Started getting these phone calls, and the person on the line was saying that she had to pay these government stamps in order to continue to get her Social Security. And you can imagine the panic that she felt. And she was still very independent, still working. She wasn't working 3 jobs, but she was still working 2 jobs. And she fell prey to this. My mother-in-law actually, over a period of a year, Western Union and wired $200,000 to Costa Rica. Lost all of her savings that she worked so hard for. And it was devastating. My husband and I had to move her from Winchester to the Shenandoah Valley. We bought her a home. It's devastating. So I speak from a personal experience, how important it is to talk to them about scams and things that just don't seem right. You want to keep the conversation brief. Once your parent has said, okay, I feel okay, I want to have this money talk with you, keep it brief. You may have a million questions. We may have a million questions for mom and or dad, but asking 1 or 2 questions at a time is better than bombarding them with inquiries. While we may have been thinking about the money talk for months leading up to it, it really is a new conversation for them. Give them time to digest what you're saying. Give them time to process it and to respond. It's really better to have 3 30-minute talks with them than 1 90-minute conversation. Not only does this keep everyone focused on one task or discussion item at a time, it helps everybody to stay calm and rational. And isn't that our goal? Our goal is to lead with loving intentions and for everyone to stay calm and rational. Give your parent control whenever possible. A big part of aging is dealing with a loss of control over your physical and your mental health. That's hard. Elderly parents know that in time they will need more support, but they often don't want to face this reality. When discussing how you can help them with their financial wellness, reassure them that this is not an attempt to take over their life. It's simply an offer to help them as they age. Again, loving intentions, respecting their wishes. Whenever possible, invite your parents to decide what to address and when. Give them some of that control if you can. By doing so, you are demonstrating that you are there to support them, not to take over. So very important. Be open with your family. Transparency. I can't say it enough. It is important when it comes to helping aging parents with their finances. It's not uncommon to see the efforts of a well-intentioned child of an elderly parent cause suspicion or conflict with other siblings simply because their actions weren't discussed in advance. So important. Respect their wishes and work with them. We already talked about that a little bit, but most importantly, this is about your parents, their health, their well-being. Work with them in partnership, partner alongside with them, journey alongside with them, not in conflict with them to persuade them to do things they may feel uncomfortable doing. Remember, good questions are often the key to great conversations. I always say open-ended questions are best. It's how you get people to talk. Be curious about what's important to them and how they would like to be helped when the time is right. Then it's not about the money. It's about making sure they have the care and provision they'll need in this next season of life, this next chapter. So how to help your parents with finances. So we kind of already have them accepting financial help. That's the big step. So we've had all those conversations that we just talked about. We finally have their buy-in and they're willing to accept the financial help. Once you get that squared away and they're on the same page as you, the next question is probably how do you get started? So we're going to review some general steps to help you begin organizing their finances. This is great even in your own life and your own personal financial wellness. Throughout the process, you're going to want to do a lot of documentation for what you've done and what you plan to do. It takes a lot of work. It really does to handle finances for elderly parents or any elderly relative, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. You need to really communicate the steps with your parents, with other family members, so that they can support you and ensure everyone is on the same page. That is so critical. It's also key to make gradual changes when possible. If your parents only need help in certain areas, slowly take on those responsibilities to give both you and them time to become more comfortable with this new role. For example, if you've taken on the responsibility of writing checks, start by doing it together. This kind of gradual, sensitive approach gives them and you some time to get comfortable with this new arrangement. Taking inventory of financial and legal documents. I don't want this part to scare you, but it's so important. Start at the very beginning. We said documentation. We're going to talk about personal information. They're going to have to gather their personal and financial documents, or you may have to help them gather them. And you're going to want to have them and you store them in a secure spot so that you can access them whenever the need arises. So talk about personal information. We're talking Social Security cards, birth certificates, marriage certificates. And we'll talk later, or we can talk now about, what if they don't have them? What do you do? You're going to go and apply for a new Social Security card. You're going to have to go and apply for a new birth certificate or a marriage certificate. But it is important that you have these documents and that you file them properly. Property details, deeds, cemetery plots, vehicle titles, taxes, tax returns, 1099s, insurance. And believe me, my mother-in-law, unfortunately, she passed away January of this year, and none of this stuff, you guys, was organized. It's been a very, very difficult road. So if you have any questions after or want to hear, some of my personal story and what we did, I'm happy to share that with you. But insurance, homeowners insurance policy, automobile policy, umbrella policies, life insurance policies, long-term care insurance policies. These are so critical to have organized and at your fingertips if you and your parents need to review them. If your parents don't use online banking, which most don't, some do, Ask them to gather the following statements or help them to gather them. Sometimes you even have to go to their financial institution with them. You're going to have to ask them, do you have savings accounts? Do you have checking accounts? Where are they? Do you have investment accounts? Do you have retirement accounts? You're going to want to get these types of statements in order, knowing exactly where they have their money. You're going to have the conversation about loans. Mom, dad, do you have personal loans? Do you have automobile loans, home loans, credit cards, debit cards? And it's a safe, let them know it's a safe place. It's okay if you do. We just need to make sure that we know what you have in order to help you if you need help in the future. Then gather the following bills. You have to know about their utilities, gas, electric, cable, TV, water, phone bills. And you're going to need to know how they pay them. Do they pay them back by check? Do they have them automatically coming out of their bank account? Other things would include safe deposit boxes. If they have a CPA, what's the CPA's name and phone number? If they have a financial advisor, the name and phone number of their financial advisor, and their pension details. I want to also say this could be a question that somebody may ask. The United States Senate Federal Credit Union, we do not have safe deposit boxes. And I know we get asked that a lot. You're going to want to ask your parents, or you may actually need to sit down with them. They may even need to pull the cards out to write down their credit card information, include the name of the bank and the associated account numbers. And you are going to want to store this in a fireproof, safe place. If they bank online, you're going to want to have them write down the websites, and you're going to need their user IDs. You're going to need their passwords, additional security questions and answers. If your parents do use a safe deposit box, make sure that they add you as a deputy or an agent, but be aware that you will automatically lose this privilege if they die. The only way to retain access is to become a joint owner of that safe deposit box. And in order to do that, you'll need to go with them to the bank in person and sign a card alongside with them. And lastly, ask your parents to jot down any income they receive. And I know this is hard. This is not easy. It's not easy for you, and it's not easy for them, as well as the bank accounts that money flows into. So helping your parents with finances, once you have a full list of regular expenditures, you've made that list, you've got it organized, you're going to want to create a regular payment schedule to stay on top of every bill. Like I said earlier, the last thing you want is your aging parent to be sitting in a home with no electricity, with no water, with no television. The schedule can come in many forms. It can be a physical calendar that you use and share with them. It could be automated bill pay. Love automated bill pay, especially for aging parents. The key is that your schedule makes it easier for you and your parents to submit payments on time for every account and every responsibility. Talk through the importance of simplifying the bill payment process with your parents. They may be, the type to want to write a check for everything. They may be the type that they balance that checkbook. They make sure that that check is cleared. It's really a good time to talk to them about bill pay and just think of the time that it could free you up, mom or dad, and more time for you to do what you love to do, what your hobbies are, if you don't have to sit down and worry about writing checks. And it's to lighten the load so they don't miss any payments, and they don't get hit with late fees. So if you tell them, hey, if you forget to make this payment, you're going to be hit with a late fee, that could get them to really think about setting up automatic bill pays. If your parents don't take advantage of automatic bill payments, encourage them, to go ahead and sign up. Using online banking and bill payments will allow you to seamlessly transition financial management from parents to adult children, but you can still share that with them. You can sit down with them at a computer, you can pull up their account, you can show them exactly what is going on, and they can see it on their statement. If your parents aren't technically savvy or are simply afraid of online banking, show them how it works. I don't know if anybody is anywhere near our branches, but we have kiosks in there where we can actually help you navigate and learn how to handle online banking. You're going to need to log into your parents' account while they sit right beside you. Show them how you can enter their credit card information to auto pay bills or any other bill that they have. You are going to want to determine whether their legal documents require updates. So as you review various financial documents, there's a solid chance that some will be a little out of date. Review the documents like wills, any items with expiration dates, to see if it's time to update anything in the near future. You can also take note of any documents that will need updates in the future and add them to your payment schedule or another calendar to stay on top of everything. Review investments, loans, and other accounts. It's always good to get a second set of eyes on your parents' accounts, especially if no one has checked them in a while. This is something very sensitive to our parents. They don't want to give up that control. Double check different investment plans, long terms, other details to see if there are any short-term opportunities for improvement or if a new approach would be best. For example, if their current residence is their current residence the most economical option? Look at everything with a critical eye to justify certain expenses and adjust as necessary. And consider professional help. Taking care of your family does not mean you can't find help outside of the family. There are plenty of professionals who can help you handle financial decisions for elderly parents. They are the experts in that field. Whether you don't feel comfortable making investment decisions or need someone to help you, professionals like financial planners, we actually partner with fellows, attorneys, advisors can provide expert assistance with these important responsibilities, and your parents may feel more comfortable with that third party being involved. Legal tools to help manage your parents' finance. While some parents are fine with some unofficial support, others may be in a position where you need to make the decisions on their behalf. Parents can't or don't want to make financial decisions, can name you as their fiduciary. This role allows you to make these crucial decisions on your mom or dad's behalf through one of the following processes. Legal tools and law, so power of attorney, POA. While still healthy, your loved one should choose a trusted family member or friend to serve as their fiduciary, a legal guardian of their assets. A fiduciary makes financial decisions for someone who becomes unable to manage their money. And this can be done only if your loved one is fully competent. That's why it's so important to have this done before they are at the age where they can't make these decisions on their own. You can even consult a lawyer to draw up the legal documents. There are several ways to become a fiduciary for a loved one. We're going to talk about those. We just talked about POA, sometimes called durable power of attorney. This is a legal document in which one person assigns another the power to make financial decisions on their behalf, should they become unable to make sound decisions. The person assigned power of attorney is called an agent or attorney, in fact. Without power of attorney or a trust, the family risks having to go to court later to file for guardianship of a loved one who becomes incapacitated. We see it every day in the credit union world. It is a very sad day. A process that can be expensive, it can be time-consuming and potentially divisive. Your loved one must be of sound mind to grant power of attorney and must also be of sound mind to revoke it. Let's talk a little bit about trustee. While of sound mind, your loved one transfers assets to a revocable living trust and names a trustee or multiple trustees. If in the future your loved one loses the capacity to make sound financial decisions, that trustee becomes responsible for keeping the trust property safe. Among other things, this could mean putting valuable items in a safe deposit box. We talked about that earlier, maintaining insurance, paying taxes, and making careful investment decisions. As long as your loved one can make decisions and the terms of the trust allow it, he or she can change or end the trust at any time. Let's talk a little bit about a professional fiduciary. You can always hire a professional with experience in money management to oversee financial decisions for your loved ones, particularly if they have extensive or complicated assets or they don't live near you. So a professional fiduciary might be a CPA, a certified public accountant. It could be an attorney. It could be a trust company officer. It could be an employee of a trust company or other business that manages trusts, such as a bank or investment firm. A professional fiduciary should be named in a power of attorney agreement, either as an appointee of the agent or as the agent him or herself. The agreement should spell out the fiduciary's fees. So if you're going to hire a professional fiduciary, they are going to have fees. And it can include a provision giving family members legal authority to relieve the professional if they are dissatisfied with his or her performance. Let's say they're taking too much money. An elder law attorney can help caregivers find an appropriate fiduciary. So use your resources wisely. Let's talk a little bit about a government fiduciary. These fiduciaries are appointed by a government agency to manage benefit payments issued by that agency, usually the Social Security Administration or the Department of Veterans Affairs. Government fiduciaries are typically family members or close friends of the beneficiary, but a qualified organization, for example, a nursing home, may be selected. They are authorized to use benefit payments for a loved one's care and well-being, but cannot manage other assets belonging to that person. That requires power of attorney, trusteeship, or a court appointment. Social Security. People or entities appointed to manage a recipient's Social Security benefits are called representative payees. These are accounts that we offer here at the U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union. All of these are actually. They must keep track of how they use the monthly payment funds and make the records available for SSA to review upon request. For some payees, these reviews are mandatory, and as they should be. So let's talk about veterans benefits. The VA will appoint a fiduciary for a veteran who is deemed unable to manage benefits due to age, illness, injury. A court order or medical documentation of the person's condition is required. The VA will conduct an examination of the fiduciary, usually someone chosen by the veteran, including a background check, a credit review, and interviews with a prospective fiduciary and character witnesses. Those are all good policies to have into place. Let's talk about a court-appointed guardian. If a court finds someone who does not have a fiduciary, can no longer manage money or property alone, a hearing is held to appoint a guardian or a conservator. As a guardian, we offer this account too. As a guardian, you are required to act in the best interest of the protected person and provide the court with a regular, detailed accounting of your loved one's income and assets and how their money is being spent. So those are different legal tools and laws that are resources for you. Let's talk about minimizing family conflicts. This is the last thing any of us want. We never want these types of conversations to, cause conflict in a family. Money, even when it belongs to someone else, can bring out the worst in families. Should that happen? No, but it can, particularly siblings who are beginning to reckon with the impending death of a parent, or in the case of dementia or an Alzheimer's diagnosis, the ongoing loss of the person they were, common points of contention. The family member who serves as primary caregiver is not the one who holds power of attorney, meaning one has to ask the other for money. Family members believe that responsibilities are distributed unfairly or show favoritism. A family member shows up only when a loved one is in the hospital. We see this all the time. The primary caregiver wants to receive payment. How much is appropriate? Should family members who help on occasion also get paid proportionately? Tackle such problems before they fester. The Family Caregiver Alliance suggests these steps to deal with family conflicts. Make plans together for care and financial duties before a loved one gets sick. That's the key. This all really needs to be done before the family member, the loved one, gets sick. Again, documentation. Keep detailed records. If you have power of attorney for a parent, and send them to your siblings. Such record keeping is required by law, and being transparent with the other family members can reduce distrust and head off legal disputes. You also need to provide these power of attorney records to your parents' banks. Think about what you really want from your siblings. If you need help in the form of time or money, you just need to ask. Don't assume they know you're having difficulty. Here again, we're talking about transparency. Have regular family meetings. Communication is so key to talk about financial and care issues. You're going to want to seek impartial counsel if a conflict persists. For example, bring a family therapist, a mediator, a social worker, a trusted clergy member into the discussion if you need to. Check the Association for Conflict Resolution's member directory for practitioners in your state. So there are all kinds of resources for you. Some may specialize in elder care issues. A caregiver support group can also give you a place to vent. A caregiver really gives up their time, and a lot of times neglect taking care of themselves because they're caregiving for somebody else. So it's really important for the caregiver to have support as well. Don't let inheritance disputes divide the family. Discuss those estate plans with parents while they're still alive. If assets are divided in a way you consider unequal or unfair, remember that it was your parents' decision, not your siblings. If you suspect there was undue influence or foul play, you need to consult a lawyer or an adult protective services. Very important to have these conversations. So let's talk a little bit about financial exploitation and what those common signs look like. Sometimes, and again, another sensitive subject, sometimes the best person for the job really isn't. The agent with power of attorney, the person on the shared checking account, the caregiver or the guardian may be taking money from an incapacitated person. I mean, it's just a fact. This is called absolutely financial elder abuse. Look for the signs. Common signs that a loved one is being financially exploited include missing money or property, abrupt changes in spending or saving habits. These are all things that unfortunately we really have to pay attention to. Convoluted explanations for financial activity. Frequent ATM usage. You know that your parents don't go to an ATM, so more than likely they have given their debit card, or someone has gone in their wallet and gotten their debit card and knows their PIN number, and they're taking cash out. What are they using that cash for? Large unexplained bank withdrawals. Look at their statements. It's really important that you do your due diligence and you really, really check behind the scenes. Sudden excess gift giving. They may, like we talked earlier, they're lonely. They have befriended someone, and they're starting to give that person money or gifts. If you think a relative is being or has been exploited, you're definitely going to want to contact law enforcement and your local adult protective services agencies. You can Google these and find them pretty quickly. Don't be afraid to do this. It is important. You can alert the loved one's bank, credit card company if they have credit cards. If your loved one is in a nursing facility, call your state's long-term care. You might also want to talk to an attorney. So just doing your due diligence, it's so important. Professional help, taking care of your family doesn't mean you can't find help outside of the family. There's plenty of resources, plenty of professionals who can help you handle financial decisions for elderly parents or other elderly relatives that you have. Whether you don't feel comfortable making investment decisions or you need someone to help you, professionals like financial planners, attorneys, and advisors can provide expert advice with these important responsibilities. Again, we partner with fellows, and you absolutely can set up an appointment with them and have these conversations. And that goes right into estate planning attorney. An estate planning attorney focuses on legal documents that state who receives your property upon death, often in a way that minimizes taxes. Highly recommend an estate planning attorney. An estate planning attorney also can prepare legal documents that give you authority to make those financial or medical decisions on your parents' behalf. Documents such as, we talked about it before, durable power of attorney and living will are highly useful, maybe even necessary, to facilitate proper and responsible management of your parents' affairs. This attorney can also help set up a care plan, provided your parents have adequate funds to pay for their own long-term care. Elder law attorney. An elder law attorney also has the expertise to prepare power of attorney, living wills, and other related documents that your parents may need. Elder law attorneys are particularly versed in the legalities of common aging issues. They can give you a lot of great information, such as caregiving, assisted living, even in-home care. You might also consider seeking this attorney's advice if you believe your parents may not have sufficient funds to cover long-term living costs. I don't know if you have looked at what long-term living costs are, but they are outrageous, very expensive. An elder law attorney can also help find creative legal ways to cover those costs. So really seek that resource if you need to. A financial planner or advisor, if your parents are blessed with wealth, turning to a financial planner or advisor to help manage their assets can take a heavy load off of your mind. Your parents may have a variety of assets or complex investments that require knowledge from a financial expert. Depending on your parents' circumstances, the expert can help determine the appropriate risk level for their investments. So really good resources there for professional help. I've talked about fellows several times, financial group. We actually partner with them. We trust them to help take care of our members in services and conversations that we actually don't do in-house. Those include investment services, estate and legacy planning, so important to do it now, goal-based planning, and personal insurance. There's the phone number, the website to actually reach out and talk to an advisor. You do get a free consultation by being a U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union member. And if you're not a member and you're on this call, I am definitely going to give you my name, my email, and I'm more than happy to get you signed up for membership. Anyone can join our credit union. Resources, it was really important to us as a credit union to give you all the resources that you may need. You can see them listed there, the elder care locator. You would use this online directory of services maintained by the U.S. Administration on Aging. You can call them, you can find your local area agency on aging and legal aid providers in your region. The website also offers articles and other resources on elder rights. So lots of great information there. The U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, Office for Older Americans provides resources to walk fiduciaries through the job. So they take you right through showing you how to spot scams, financial exploitation, and advising on what to do if a loved one is a victim. AARP is another good resource for family caregiving. You can find information and tips on financial and legal issues facing caregivers and download the advanced directive form for your state. The American Bar Association, the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. So lots and lots of resources there for you all to utilize. And just know that this webinar has been recorded. We will upload it to our website. You're going to see a tab that says Best Life, and you're going to see the webinars that we're going to have in the future. We have these every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Please RSVP, please join us. We love having you as our guest as we dive into, how to make the most of your financial situation. We also have one on fraud, on scams. We did that one, I think the last Wednesday in May, and all of the pre-recorded webinars are out there. So you can actually see the tab that says recorded webinars, and feel free to go back and watch those with your parents. I know that our family, unfortunately, fell prey to that. My mother-in-law fell prey to that, and there was nothing we could do. We did everything we could to try to get that money back, but it was too late. And we don't want anything like that to happen to you or your family. So we are here as your credit union to offer these webinars to help you in your financial realm. So with that being said, Carrie, have I missed anything?
I thought that was great, Kim. And like Kim said, the webinar is being recorded. We'll have it ready in a few days, but later this evening, I'll be able to send out this slide deck, and these web links are clickable, so you can go right to the website. If there's any questions, if anyone has any questions while we're still on the call, feel free to put them in the chat box or use the Q&A function. We do have a couple. Kim, are you ready?
I am, yes.
Should one set up the process to be the SSA and/or veterans fiduciary before it is needed? Is that allowed?
So I would definitely recommend that you reach out to VA, that you reach out to the Social Security Administration. They're going to let you know when that process, what it takes to actually be approved for that process. I hope that answers that question.
So can you go over just one more time when a non-account holder comes to the credit union with questions or inquiries about the parent's account that they're not on, like kind of what happens? What do you need to have in place to access that account? Absolutely.
That is a great question and resource. So it is highly recommended that your parent, if they have a POA, if they have a trust, to go ahead and provide that to us now. If your parent has not provided that to us and they become incapacitated, there's a whole lot of extra documents we would need in order to validate that POA. You would have to provide us with the POA. You would have to get a letter from their doctor letting us know that they're incapacitated. It's just so much easier, if they are fully capable of taking care of themselves now, to go ahead and provide the credit union with those types of documents. It's really, really important to, I know we don't like to talk about death, but there are so many members who do not set up beneficiaries on their accounts here at the credit union. It's really, really beneficial to set up PODs, to set up beneficiaries now, because we never know. I mean, I'm not guaranteed the next 15 minutes to be here, and I want to make sure that the process is not, I mean, my children, my husband, my family would already be grieving me, and I want to make this process as easy as possible for them. And there's just a lot of red tape if these things aren't checked off before the parent becomes unable to take care of their finances. You can have a POA drawn up by an attorney. We also offer an in-house POA where it just allows the member to sign a POA form, allowing whoever they choose to be able to just do our credit union transactions, make withdrawals, transfer payments, write a check. I also highly recommend, because a POA is only good while the person is alive, that, if your parents truly need help, to add you as a joint on their account. And that way, you can have that sensitive conversation with them and let them know, I'm only doing this because I care about you in the future as you continue to age. I don't want checks. I'm not going to write checks. I don't even want your account number. But it is a safeguard for if something were to happen to them, you could immediately call in and take over.
Thanks, Kim. I have another good question. I had a living will for my dad and another bank accepted that. Would the credit union accept that living will to add me to the account?
We will not accept a living will to add someone to an account. I'm not sure how else to explain that. And I can get more information and find out exactly what you would need to do, but I do know that we are not going to take a living will and keep it on file. Maybe a situation where your parents need to set up a trust and have you as the trustee, and they can be the trustee as well. And they could even make you a contingent trustee.
So if say you're on your parents' account in any way or have all of the legal documents in place to properly access their funds at Bank of America, could I take those same things over to the credit union and have the same privileges? Or
so it sounds like that, I don't know if you're joint on their accounts or if you provided the power of attorney documentation. We would need the legal documentation. If we're gonna add you to their account, we would just need to send you a new membership application for you and your parent, and anybody else that's joined on their account would need to sign to add you. If it's a power of attorney, we do require that your parent provide that to us, or that we at least speak to them, asking them, are you adding your POA? And we ask them if their POA is this person. and get their permission to add that. If they, like I said earlier, are at a point where they can't give that information, it's going to be a little more entailed and we're going to need a little more documentation.
In reference to the living will, she was listed as the power of attorney, and they also made her a joint. So
yeah, I may need to talk to compliance about that, with it being a living will. I truly don't believe the credit union will accept a living will, but I could be wrong. Definitely don't want to give incorrect information. So if you could make sure, Carrie, that we have this person's email, I will absolutely ask our compliance department and get back to you. We want to make it as easy as possible. I will say that.
And I'll just note her name, and I got the emails and the registration. So
perfect.
So if I have another question, if you are on a joint on the account and siblings, does that affect the distribution to the sibling beneficiaries on death of the parent?
So I'm going to ask, are you and all of your siblings joint on the account, or are you beneficiaries on the account?
Just one.
Just one is joint. Okay, so the funds will automatically go to that person. There could be a will to where that person has to distribute money to beneficiaries. Does that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful.
And we did have one guest share that a good place to find a parent's financial assets is on their tax return. So that's good.
Thank you so much. That is great information. And yes, that is good to note that tax return can be a very good place to find their financial assets. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I know that I'll be calling my dad as soon as we're done here, but I appreciate everybody for joining the webinar. Kim, you were great. Thank you for the information. And we'll send these slides out later this evening. And then the recorded video will be ready on probably early next week, and we'll put it on the website.
And don't forget, my name's Kimberly Fridley. My email is kimberlyf@ussfcu.org. You can actually call in, choose option 7, just say Kim Fridley, and you will get right to my direct line. I'm more than happy to talk to you, answer any questions, help you in any way possible. And we so value your membership and taking the time to spend the evening with us. So thanks, everybody.
And I'll go ahead and put your name and number in the email
Perfect.
to Kim, because I know you love to help. So anyone.
I love to talk to our members. So please feel free to call me.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time, and good luck with everything. And we'll hope to see you next week. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.